Welcome back to our continuing coverage here on CNBC TV18. Briefing the media after a night of escalation, the Ministry of Defence and Ministry of External Affairs say that Pakistan's actions have been escalatory and provocative, clarify that India remains committed to de-escalation provided it is reciprocated, but also caution that Pakistan's troops have been seen moving to forward areas. Loitering munitions, fighter aircraft and drones were used to target 26 Indian civilian and military locations last night. Welcome back to our continuing coverage here on CNBC TV18. Briefing the media after a night of escalation, the Ministry of Defence and Ministry of External Affairs say that Pakistan's actions have been escalatory and provocative, clarify that India remains committed to de-escalation provided it is reciprocated, but also caution that Pakistan's troops have been seen moving to forward areas. Loitering munitions, fighter aircraft and drones were used to target 26 Indian civilian and military locations last night. High-speed missile also launched at bases in Punjab. These attacks were neutralized by the Indian Armed Forces. All Indian Air Force bases safe and operational. India carries out retaliatory action following an escalation in border tensions. Air-launched precision weapons used to target air radars and 8 Pakistani bases, including those in Sialkot, Rahim Yar Khan and Chaklala. Fake news regarding Indian military infrastructure being destroyed is debunked. Claims of Air Force Station Sirsa and Suratgarh being destroyed are absolutely fake. Claims of an S-400 system being destroyed are also fake, while Pakistan's claims of Indian missiles hitting Afghanistan were termed ludicrous. As many as 32 airports across the northern and western parts of India closed for civilian flights till the 15th of May. Airports include Jammu, Srinagar, Leh, Amritsar, Chandigarh and Dharamshala, among others. Well, thank you to all of our viewers joining us here on television and online as we bring you continuous coverage on the escalating border tensions between India and Pakistan. And as you can see on your screens, we have source-based information coming in. And of course, this is about DG military operation level talks taking place between India and Pakistan. That is what we're given to understand. But just a short while ago, the Ministry of Defence and the External Affairs Ministry have cleared the air on several claims that have been made by Pakistani agencies and media. Let's listen in to what the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh had to say about the operation that took place last night, the attack, an attempted attack by Pakistan, the targets that Pakistan went after, and India's response. Here's the press briefing.
As you have seen, Pakistani claims about activities that they have undertaken continue to be heavy on lies, misinformation and propaganda. And on top of that, this is peddled by Pakistani state agencies. The claims that they have made about attacking and destroying various places, various military installations and facilities, as has been pointed out by my colleagues here this morning, are completely false. The claim about the Air Force station in Sirsa being destroyed, completely false, as you've seen. The claim about the Air Force station in Suratgarh being destroyed, completely false again, as you have seen. There's a claim that has been made that the S-400 base at Adampur was destroyed, completely false. Pakistan continues with its execrable and wanton campaign of targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure, especially in the states of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. There is also on its part a consistent attempt to sow discord between communities in India. As I said, there has been a particular focus in its targeting of civilian infrastructure and the population in Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. Earlier this morning, Pakistan shelled the town of Rajouri, killing the additional District Development Commissioner, Shri Rajkumar Thappa, adding to the civilian casualties and the damage in that state. We have also observed overnight damage to property and injuries to civilians in Firozpur and Jalandhar, among other places.
पाकिस्तान सेना ने पूरी पश्चिम मोर्चे पर लगातार आक्रामक गतिविधियां जारी रखी। उसमें यूकैप ड्रोन्स, लॉन्ग रेंज वेपन्स, लॉइटरिंग म्यूनिशंस और लड़ाकू विमानों का उपयोग कर भारतीय सैन्य ढांचे को निशाना बनाया। नियंत्रण रेखा पर भी ड्रोन घुसपैठ और भारी कैलिबर हथियारों से गोलाबारी की। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा और एलओसी पर श्रीनगर से नलिया तक 26 से अधिक स्थानों पर हवाई घुसपैठ के प्रयास किए गए। भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने अधिकांश खतरों को सफलतापूर्वक निष्क्रिय किया। फिर भी वायु सेना स्टेशनों पर उधमपुर, पठानकोट, आदमपुर और भुज बठिंडा स्टेशन, इन सब पर उपकरण व पर्सनल्स को हानि पहुंचाई।
Effectively and proportionately, causing extensive damage to Pakistan Army. Pak military has been observed to be moving their troops into forward areas, indicating offensive intent to further escalate the situation. Indian armed forces remain in a high state of operational readiness. All hostile actions have been effectively countered and responded appropriately. Indian armed forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation.
Well, to take this discussion forward, joining us now is Lieutenant General retired Shubrata Saha. He was also the former Deputy Chief of Army Staff. Sir, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV18. Appreciate your time. You probably have heard the briefing that we just saw, the Ministry of Defence, the Ministry of External Affairs, giving us some idea what transpired last night. Of course, I would imagine that minutiae has been withheld. But what is your assessment now of the threat, of the escalation, and where we find ourselves now on the escalation ladder, sir?
Thank you, Shireen. We are in a very, strange kind of a situation because we are dealing with a country in which the decision making is with a very delusional army chief who is supported by a deranged defense minister. I say that because in his parliament, he makes a statement that the students of the madrasas are his second line of defense. And now that you have the Secretary of State of the US talking directly to the army chief, bypassing any minister in the country, including the prime minister, it's almost a defunct, kind of a political establishment. So this is the situation that we are dealing with, number one. Number two, now the calculations that Pakistan Army Chief had made that there would be international intervention and pressure on India to de-escalate, that obviously has gone awry. And there is no such, pressure which is there on India. Whatever little that we are seeing, the Secretary of State has asked the Foreign Minister of India to do, which frankly India is free to do what it wants because US can't play it both ways. On the one side, they have agreed to give that bailout package of the IMF to Pakistan, which typically in a scenario like this, when India was the one that had got to the killers of Daniel Pearl, or at least their headquarters of Bahawalpur, where Daniel Pearl's killing was associated with. I mean, at least the US should have held back with all the veto powers that they had in the IMF. I mean, on the one side, you bail out the country, and on the other side, you ask India to de-escalate. So surely, India reserves the right to do what it needs to. Okay. So under these circumstances, the Pakistani military is literally achieving nothing. I mean, all their drone missile strikes are having no impact whatsoever. They are peddling all kind of lies, as you heard in the briefing, to say that they are achieving impact. So it's a desperate situation. First, they carry out their terrorist attack against innocent civilians in Pahalgam. Now they are constantly shelling civilians across the line of control. And now they're extending the same thing against civilians in Punjab and Jammu region and so on. So this is a strange situation. And look at the reaction from the Indian side. See, on that night when Op Sindoor was carried out at 1:44 a.m., the MOD press release was very clear. It had stated, we are targeting infrastructure. We are not targeting the military installations. Actually, the message to Pakistan was, should you choose to escalate, we will target military installations. And that's exactly what we are doing. And you see it now. What are we doing? Very systematically, in a very limited manner, we are degrading their defense potential by targeting the air defense measures of their airfields. It's a very clear-cut strategy which is evolving as we are progressing. So in response, apart from these reckless actions, now what we are seeing, a movement of troops towards the borders. And now this one more step which you have just reported, the DGMO level talks. Okay, I've been an additional DGMO by myself. So these talks, frankly, they yield nothing unless there are clear directions from the top. And the Prime Minister has made it very clear that the lessons are going to be taught. Okay, so unless Pakistan chooses to, make some very clear-cut, categoric statements to live up to some, worthwhile, to demonstrate something that it is going to dismantle some terrorist infrastructure, I don't see, India backing off so easily. And yet, all along, if you see, at every stage, they are reminding, every briefing of ours is reminding Pakistan that we do not want to escalate. We do not want to escalate. So, and despite that, if they choose to escalate, they do not know how it is going to open up. It's only a very limited part of our military might that has been put out over there. We haven't even spoken about the economic targets. Just imagine, once the economic targets start to get engaged, where will Pakistan go? What is the war stamina of Pakistan today? I mean, they are working virtually on smuggled fuel, borrowed money. I mean, how can you sustain a war with this state of economy of your country? The state of the polity, we know, it's completely fractured. It is divided between Imran Khan. Even the Pakistan military is divided in its loyalty between Imran Khan and those who are supporting Munir and Shahbaz. So it's a very, very divided, very weak, very fragile state of affairs in Pakistan, not to talk about their failures against the Baluchis, not to talk about their failures against Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. They are in deep mess. They tried to get away from that mess by provoking India through the Pahalgam attack. Now they have gotten to a deeper morass. So it's a situation, which we are faced with. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it is a situation that India is going to have to deal with, as you were pointing out, Lieutenant General Saha, to the point that that was being made there by you about the army chief and the powers that the army chief enjoys. I just wanted to make it a point to bring to the attention of both you as well as to our viewers that while Secretary Rubio has had a conversation with the Pakistan army chief, and it's important to note, as General Saha was pointing out, Rubio hasn't spoken with the Indian army chief or any Indian military establishment official. He's spoken with the Pakistani army chief, but he's also spoken with the Pakistan Prime Minister. That readout on the 8th of May that was put out by Secretary Rubio's office makes it clear that Secretary Rubio, in his conversation with the Pakistan Prime Minister, had said that A, there needs to be immediate de-escalation on both sides, but B, also that Pakistan must stop supporting any kind of terror. And there has now been a call between Secretary Rubio as well as the Pakistan army chief. So that really tells you the big difference between India and Pakistan, the kind of control that the Pakistan army, and particularly at this point in time, the Pakistani chief enjoys, and perhaps there could be discordance and dissonance between the end objectives, between what the military establishment sees and what the political establishment sees at this point in time. But Lieutenant General Saha, let's just talk about what India has been able to do overnight. And again, as you were pointing out, India's response has been retaliatory at this point in time, but also to try and ensure that we target Pakistan's air bases, that we target Pakistan's military infrastructure that has been used against India, specifically in the last 48 hours or so. About 8 military infrastructure being targeted by Indian armed forces is what we're given to understand. And of course, in that briefing, a specific mention of Sialkot being made there by the Foreign Secretary as well as the 2 officers. What do you make of the targets that India has chosen to go after?
See, very broadly speaking, Shireen, the targeting is, as I can see it, is designed to degrade Pakistan's air defense potential. And besides that, of course, the significance of Rawalpindi and the GHQ is certainly there. So now if you see, for example, the air base, which is close to Rawalpindi, let me talk about it. One is, of course, is the being close to the seat of the military power, so to speak. The other thing is that is the place where they have the refuelers, of over there. So these refuelers give them the ability to sort of refuel aircraft mid-air, and so therefore the enhanced ranges. So that, of course, is a significant target to strike. Plus also, if I'm not mistaken, that is where they also have some signals intelligence aircrafts stationed over there. So in that sense, that's the significance. All the other fighter bases that they have chosen are mostly those that are giving them the ability to sort of defend their airspace and check defend their airspace, to put it very simply, without getting into technicalities. And most of them, they have these JF-17s, the Mirage 5, and those kind of aircrafts which are likely to come and contest the Indian Air Force as they decide to engage targets in case the situation, heads that way. Also, specifically with regard to Muri, as I can see it, that's to the best of my knowledge, is the place where they have a whole lot of these unmanned aerial systems, and a lot of, I think, the unmanned aerial systems that are being used to engage targets in India, they are being flown from there. So I'm not surprised that they have chosen to engage that. So clearly, India's broader strategy at this juncture is to degrade Pakistan's defensive potential, and at the same time, by striking Rawalpindi, it is to send a very clear message to the headquarters to their GHQ. I must also mention here 2 hilarious statements from their defense minister. When asked in the parliament that why are you not engaging these Indian drones or missiles who are coming to strike at our air defense, when the Lahore air defense radar was struck and destroyed. So he was asked, why are you not doing so? His answer was, if you were to open up, their positions will be revealed. So I do not know, when are they going to open up? So basically the point is, it shows the superiority that our forces are demonstrating in being able to penetrate, strike, achieve what they want to achieve. So that is certainly significant in the manner in which the whole thing is unfolding. And of course, needless to reiterate, the way our air defense system is functioning so far very effectively, combining a whole range of weapon systems, actually, again, without going into details, how effectively they are working to deal with a whole plethora of drones from small to higher end. And today, as they have brought up in the briefing, even missiles of different calibers, of different characteristics that are being dealt with quite effectively, and at pretty long-range missiles that they have used, it seems.
You know, sir, it is tough to find humor in this situation, but yes, you're absolutely right. Many of those comments coming in from the Pakistan establishment, one does have to wonder about what the thinking is there. But just to that point that you were making as far as drones were concerned, as well as another piece of important information that's coming in, Pakistan's airspace was shut on Saturday after the military said that India had launched a series of attacks. Pakistan's airspace will now remain closed for all kinds of flights until Sunday, 12 p.m. So remember, as we had reported in the morning, Pakistan airspace was closed, and now there is confirmation coming in that Pakistan's airspace will remain closed for all kinds of flights until Sunday, 12 p.m. So this is going to be something to be mindful of. This is, of course, a significant development as well. And to General Saha's point about the drones being used, for instance, as well as the missiles being used, Pakistani forces, and this is as per Defense Ministry sources, Pakistani forces launched multiple biker Yeeha kamikaze drones towards Amritsar in a blatant attempt to strike residential areas. Indian Army's air defense network detected, tracked and engaged Pakistan's hostile drones successfully. Pakistan's drones carried high explosive payloads to inflict maximum damage on civilians. Lieutenant General Sahal, just to go back to the Pakistani attack, the attempted attack on our air bases, as well as the kinds of weapon systems that Pakistan put into use last night. I mean, clear escalation there on the part of Pakistan, but the use of drones with high payloads, targeting civilian areas, as I just pointed out, Defense Ministry sources indicating the attempt to target our air bases from Suratgarh to Sirsa and many, many others. And, you know, for me, this is deeply personal as well. I've grown up on many of those air bases, so it feels unreal to be reporting on that this afternoon. But, you know, the way in which Pakistan mounted its operation in light of the previous operation the previous day, which was about 300 to 400 drones, which now makes it clear that that was largely an intelligence gathering operation, and yesterday was the real deal.
You're absolutely right, Shireen. This is actually reminiscent of 1971. The last time we have seen this kind of, spread of the attack was in 1971. But the huge difference between 1971 and now is the addition of drones, and drones of multiple, capabilities which are there. And as they have also highlighted very clearly in the briefing, is not this morning, the previous one, yesterday, is the Turkish drones. So Pakistan has acquired a large number of drones from Turkey and also from China. So they have used the entire range. And as you very correctly have assessed, in the previous night, that is the night minus, they had used drones up to a limited range. And after the attacks went to those four, India's retaliation went to those four locations, Rawalpindi, Lahore, Sialkot, and one more. So obviously they chose to go in deeper, thinking that they will strike at our air bases. And the whole purpose was to, A, provoke, B, to see if they could come damage, so that they hoped that they will be able to, prevent India's, or rather degrade India's ability to respond. Now, once again, they have failed. In order to strike deep, obviously they required to use a higher set of capabilities in as far as their drones were concerned, as well as their missiles were concerned. So therefore, we have seen a new order of weaponry, if you will, which has been used in last night's activities. So whereas the engagements of, let's say, Firozpur, Jammu, Rajouri, and going down south along, they are the same kind of drones that have been used. For example, if you see the drone which was engaged next to and which has fallen off next to a field in Amritsar. If you see the debris of that, that's pretty much a small one. The one which you see closer to, well, as per the unconfirmed reports, closer to, let's say, Sirsa, you can see it's a much bigger one. And so clearly that gives you a sense of the characteristics of the munition which is being used closer to the border areas, into what is being used against civilian targets, and as compared to what is being used against the air bases. So it is very clear that they are escalating both the kind of munition and, of course, the targets. So, I mean, as has been highlighted by both both the officers who are briefing Colonel Qureshi as well as Wing Commander Vyomika, that our armed forces are prepared. And if you see the way our people are responding, it is not, they aren't going all out. Our responses are very specific, very limited, and just like, a very precise strike, hold back, strike, hold back, So, which is a very good, I mean, you can clearly see the broader strategy on the Indian side is that they are in it for the long game. Okay. And they will allow it to play out. Let the other chap exhaust, itself, because at the end of the day, I am repeating the same point. Pakistan's war stamina is limited. Okay. This IMF bailout, I mean, even if to translate that into war waging potential, it requires some time. Okay. So it is not as if it can happen overnight, despite all its friends, trying to, even if they choose to come in, it doesn't happen overnight. But the point still remains, there is limited war waging stamina. So the strategy of playing the long game and waiting for them to exhaust as much as they can is, I think, a good idea. More so when you're dealing with a leadership which is as reckless and as desperate as it is, not to forget the fact, and as radicalized in their outlook as they are.
Lieutenant General Saha, a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC TV18. Appreciate your time and your perspective. We will take a break here and return with the news. There is a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment.